A. Study and exams.
Before an exam, some students cram for it. Even if you're a genius, you'll have to do some revision. If the exam happens every year, you can revise by looking at past papers. Some things can be memorized or learnt off by heart, but rote learning is not sufficient for most subjects. It is also possible to use mnemonics. However, all things considered, the best idea is to bury yourself in your books and to study intensively until you know the subject inside out.
B. Academic writing.
Composition. Could be just 50 to 100 words, often used for schoolwork. Essay. Longer than a composition, more serious, hundreds or thousands of words. Assignment. A long essay, often part of a course, usually thousands of words. Project. Like an assignment, but emphasis on students' own material and topic. Portfolio. A collection of individual pieces of work, may include drawings and other examples of creative work, as well as writing. Dissertation. A long research-based work, perhaps 10 to 15,000 words, for a degree or diploma. Thesis. A very long, original, research-based work, perhaps 80 to 100,000 words, for a higher degree, for example, a PhD. It's a good idea to start with a mind map when preparing an essay. Always write a first draft before writing up the final version. Your essay should be all your own work. Plagiarism is a very serious offence in colleges and universities. It is an increasing problem because it is so easy to cut and paste from materials available on the internet, and students have to sign a plagiarism form to say that the work they are handing in is all their own, and that they acknowledge any sources they have used. There is usually a deadline. After the essay is submitted, it will be assessed, and usually you can get feedback.
C. Aspects of higher academic study.
University academics carry out research and are expected to read academic journals, which publish papers or articles on specialised subjects. If a library does not have a copy of a book or journal, you may be able to access it online, or you can usually get it through an interlibrary loan. Open educational resources are particularly convenient for many students. Academic study can be very demanding, and some students drop out, but the majority survive till finals and become well-qualified members of their future professions.
A. Opportunity and equality.
All education systems may ultimately be judged in terms of equality of opportunity. This is often referred to in the debates over selective versus comprehensive schooling. The main issue is whether everyone has the same opportunities for educational achievement, or whether elitism of one sort or another is inherent in the system. League tables for schools and colleges may actually help unintentionally to perpetuate inequalities while claiming to promote the raising of standards. Inevitably, league tables divide educational institutions into good and bad, success and failure, resulting in a two-tier system, or at least that is how the public perceives it. The ability of better-off parents and well-endowed schools to push children towards the institutions at the top of the league may, in the long term, have the effect of depressing opportunity for the less well-off or for children from home environments that do not provide the push and motivation to excel. Financial support of different kinds can help to make educational opportunity more equal. There are, for example, scholarships or bursaries that make it possible for less privileged youngsters to afford tertiary education. Student loans allow undergraduates to pay for their tuition fees and living expenses while they are studying. But few would claim that real equality of opportunity has been achieved.
B. Other debates and issues.
Some people think we should return to an emphasis on the 3 R's, the traditional basic skills.
Literacy and numeracy are skills no one can afford to be without.
Curriculum reform is often done for political reasons rather than for good educational ones.
Nowadays, lifelong or continuing education is an issue, and creating opportunities for mature students is important.
Special needs education is expensive because class sizes need to be small or one-to-one.
Children are unhappy at school if there is a lot of bullying.
Some head teachers complained that getting to grips with constant new government guidelines on what schools should be doing is a distraction from what they ought to be focusing on.
A. A job ad.
FDR Bank Careers. Customer Service Assistant. Do you have excellent communication skills and a genuine passion for customer service? Are you looking for a challenging role within a fast-paced working environment? FDR Bank has several new openings for customer service assistants. Reporting to the customer service manager, you will be responsible for dealing with customer inquiries on the phone and via email. No previous experience is necessary, as full training will be given. The post offers excellent career prospects to candidates who demonstrate leadership qualities, as we are keen to promote and develop talent within the company. We offer a competitive salary and an attractive benefits package, including pension, healthcare plan, and subsidised meals. If this sounds like the job for you, then click here to fill in the online application form, including details of your salary expectations.
B. A cover letter. You want your application to stand out, so you should include a clear, well-written cover letter which highlights key points from your CV. Here is a letter sent with the application for the job in A above.
Dear Sir or Madam, please find attached my CV in support of my application for the position of Customer Service Assistant. I have just completed my degree in Business Studies and am keen to gain hands-on experience in this area. During my course, I chose to study several modules on banking and finance, as I have always been interested in working in this field. In addition, I have worked as a part-time sales assistant in a large department store for the last 2 years. This has given me valuable customer-facing experience, as well as developing good communication skills, both with customers and the rest of the team. I am a team player, and I am keen to develop my career and gain managerial experience in the future. Thank you for taking the time to consider this application, and I look forward to hearing from you. Yours faithfully, Rebecca White.
Be sure to specify the job you are applying for at the beginning of the letter. Mention any studies or training courses you have done which are relevant to the role. It is important to mention any relevant experience you have to show your suitability for the role. If you can, provide examples of specific projects you have carried out. If you have previous managerial experience, you can say, in my previous role as sales manager, I led a team of 4 people.
A. Preparing for interviews.
When companies are recruiting, they often have a set of criteria. For example, 3 years of experience in the field, or a degree in a relevant area, which they use to find the most suitable candidates. If you are shortlisted for an interview, make sure you do your homework first. Find out as much as you can about the company, its products, markets, competitors, etc. If you can, ask a friend to do a trial run with you. This will help boost your confidence. The interview may be conducted by a panel, a group of people, probably including your future line manager. Don't forget to make eye contact with all the interviewers while you are talking. As you arrive for the interview, body language is important. Give a firm handshake and speak up. This will help to create a good first impression.
B. During an interview.
These are examples of things that might be said at a job interview.
So, can you talk us through your CV?
Well, I studied engineering and then took a job as a trainee at F3 Telecom.
I'd like to ask about opportunities for professional development.
We have a very good in-house training program for new recruits.
Can you give us an example of how you've worked well under pressure?
How would your colleagues describe you? How would your supervisor describe you?
I'm keen to take on more responsibility.
We're looking to fill the post fairly quickly. If you are successful, how soon could you start?
The notice period on my present job is just 2 weeks, so I could start very soon.
C. A job offer.
Dear Mr. Moulton, thank you for attending the interview last week. We very much enjoyed meeting you. We are delighted to offer you the position of trainee programmer. We believe your qualifications and experience will be an ideal fit for the job. Please review the attached document outlining your salary, benefits, including paid leave, and reporting structure, and sign where indicated. Return the document within 5 business days. Once we have received the paperwork, we will contact you to arrange your start date. We look forward to welcoming you as part of our team. Kind regards, Melanie Stevens.
A. Colleagues.
Philip is my opposite number in the company's New York office. We have a good working relationship, and there's a lot of day-to-day collaboration. Having a counterpart like Philip in another branch is a great support. Last month, we got a new boss, who quickly established a good rapport with everyone. She likes us to take the initiative. The company is very hierarchical. There's a pecking order for everything. I do a job share with a woman called Rose, which suits us as we each have childcare responsibilities. My office uses a hot desking system, so I sit in a different place every day. I socialise with my workmates outside of work, but we try not to talk shop on those occasions.
B. During the day. Different work patterns.
I do fairly mundane tasks. Occasionally I have to meet a deadline or they need someone to volunteer for something. Then the job is more rewarding and stimulating. Sometimes I have a very heavy workload, but at other times it can be quite light.
I start work at my machine at 7 o'clock when I'm on the day shift. The job's mechanical and repetitive. All I ever think about is knocking off at 3 o'clock. The shift I hate most is the night shift. I start at 10 and work till 6 in the morning. It's a bit monotonous. It's not a satisfying job. I feel I need something a bit more challenging.
I have a pretty glamorous job. I'm a pilot. But the hours are irregular and antisocial. I'm not stuck behind a desk, but long-haul flights can be a bit mind-numbing. Most of the time the plane just flies itself. We work to very tight schedules. But I shouldn't complain. I feel sorry for people who are stuck in a rut or who are in dead-end jobs.
I started off as a technician. After retraining, I worked for a software company, and later I went in with a friend and we formed our own software company as a startup in 2009, so now I'm self-employed. My husband is freelance. He works for several different companies as and when they need work done. He's a computer programmer.
A. Aspects of job satisfaction.
What does job satisfaction mean? Is it just having a pleasant workplace? Or is it more than that? Can a run-of-the-mill job be satisfying?
Some people are prepared to put up with a stressful or unpleasant job if it means short-term financial reward.
Staff morale has been very low since the company announced a freeze on pay rises.
Our new manager is very keen to encourage teamwork to help us solve problems.
Is job stability more motivating than an exciting high-risk career?
After working in the fast-moving fashion industry for 6 years, Sam has decided to look for a career with a better work-life balance.
Daniel's job in a dynamic new company is often challenging, but exciting.
Chloe is demotivated in her current job following the recent changes in the finance sector. She is looking to work in something more creative, like marketing. She is seeking a career in something more creative, like marketing.
B. Expressions connected with working life.
In many countries, women are allowed maternity leave and men paternity leave if they're having a baby. If they adopt a child, they may have a right to adoption leave.
What perks do you get in your job? Informal. What extra benefits do you get in your job? Formal.
What's your holiday entitlement? I get 4 weeks a year.
Do you get regular salary increments each year? Do you get performance-related pay rises? Do you get an annual bonus?
Most people think they are overworked and underpaid.
Because of the recession, the company announced that there would have to be voluntary redundancies. Because of the recession, the company announced that there would have to be compulsory redundancies.
During the strike, the airport managed to continue running with a skeleton staff of volunteers.
The people on the interview panel at the last job I applied for were so unfriendly that I got very nervous.
A. A career in sales.
When Carl left school, he took the first job he was offered, in telesales. He thought telemarketing sounded quite glamorous, but soon found that most of the people he phoned hated cold calling and put the phone down when he tried the hard sell. However, he persevered and found he became quite skilled at persuading customers to part with their money. He then moved into a job on a TV shopping channel where he specialised in selling merchandise for the leisure market. He did so well at this that he set up his own sportswear company and hasn't looked back since.
B. Buying and selling.
A person's purchasing power is the ability they have to buy goods. That is, the amount of money they have available.
If you shop around, you try different companies or shops to see which offers best value.
If you want to buy something, you need to find a shop that stocks it.
If you trade something up, usually a car or a house, you buy one that is of higher value than the one you had before.
People sometimes make a purchasing decision based on brand loyalty.
Supermarkets sometimes sell an item for less than it costs them, in order to attract a lot of people into the shop where they will also buy more profitable items. The item being sold at a low price is called a loss leader.
For a company to sell its products, it has to price them appropriately.
If a company finds a niche market, it finds a specialized group of customers with particular interests that company can meet.
If an item is said to come or go under the hammer, it is sold at an auction.
C. A career in business. A few years ago, Tina started her own software development business, which turned out to be very lucrative. However, she got increasingly irritated by all the red tape involved in the administration of a business, and when a larger company contacted her with a proposition suggesting a takeover, she was interested. At first, the two companies could not agree on all the details of the agreement, but they managed to reach a compromise and hammer out a deal without too much delay. In many ways, Tina was sad that her company had been swallowed up, but she has used the money raised by the sale of her capital assets to invest in a business startup, an online holiday property letting agency. A. Character and personality.
Chinese astrology organizes years into cycles of 12 and asserts that the year you are born in affects your character. Each year is named after an animal. Rat, 1972, 1984, 1996, 2008. imaginative, charming, generous, quick-tempered, opportunistic. Buffalo. 1973, 1985, 1997, 2009. Conservative, methodical, conscientious, chauvinistic, a born leader. Tiger. 1974, 1986, 1998, 2010. Sensitive, emotional, tends to get carried away, stubborn, rebellious, courageous. Rabbit. 1975, 1987, 1999, 2011. Affectionate, obliging, sentimental, superficial, often insecure. Dragon. 1976, 1988, 2000, 2012. Fun-loving, popular, a perfectionist, gifted, may sometimes be tactless. Snake. 1977, 1989, 2001, 2013. Charming, intuitive, stingy. Horse. 1978, 1990, 2002, 2014. Diligent, independent, placid, outgoing, can be selfish and cunning. Goat. 1979, 1991, 2003, 2015. Elegant, artistic, always ready to complain, over-anxious. Monkey. 1980, 1992, 2004, 2016. Witty, magnetic personality, good company, can be distrustful. Rooster. 1981, 1993, 2005, 2017. Industrious, shrewd, supportive, decisive, extravagant. Dog. 1982, 1994, 2006, 2018. Down to earth, altruistic, morose, sharp-tongued. Pig. 1983, 1995, 2007, 2019. Intellectual, tolerant, naive, often materialistic.
B. Positive and negative associations.
Charming, generous. Is that how you think of yourself? Selfish, cunning. That can't be me.
Some words in the chart above have positive associations, others negative ones. Here are some words from the chart together with other words that share some aspects of their meaning. The table shows which have positive and which have negative associations.
Positive. Generous, unstinting. Negative. Extravagant, immoderate.
Positive. Resolute, dogged. Negative. Stubborn, obstinate.
Positive, thrifty, frugal. Negative, stingy, parsimonious.
Positive. Diligent, industrious. Negative. Work-obsessed, a workaholic.
Positive. Idealistic, principled. Negative. Dogmatic, inflexible.
Positive. Shrewd, astute. Negative. cunning, sly.
Positive, sober, serious. Negative, morose, sullen.
Positive, witty, pithy. Negative, brusque, terse.
Positive, tolerant, open-minded. Negative, unprincipled, unscrupulous.
Positive, chatty, talkative. Negative, verbose, garrulous. A. Adjectives connected with size, weight, and general appearance.
She introduced me to a tall, slender woman who looked very serious.
He was too scrawny to be a football player.
A lanky teenager walked in.
A gangling youth approached him. A gangly youth approached him.
Recent studies show that an increasing number of children are obese.
She's the rather stout woman wearing glasses over there.
My grandfather was a stocky man with big hands and broad shoulders.
B. Aspects of appearance and complexion.
Hi, Jessica. Guess who I bumped into the other day? Our old college mate, Rob Parsons. First thing I noticed was he's really bulked up. He used to be so lean and wiry, didn't he? But also that he still looks so unkempt. His sister was always the opposite. Never a hair out of place and immaculate clothes, remember? But they were different in appearance too, weren't they? He has a rather swarthy complexion. His sister's was more sallow. I must say, he looked a bit haggard and exhausted too. He's probably working too hard. Anyway, how are things with you? Beth.
C. Facial expression.
What are you grinning at?
You've got ice cream on your nose. It looks so funny.
Look at those models pouting for the photographers.
She said if her daughter doesn't get what she wants, she pouts for the rest of the day.
You don't have to grimace every time I eat raw garlic. I happen to think it's delicious.
I arrived late and she just scowled at me.
He was leering at us. I felt very uncomfortable and wanted to leave.
D. Mannerisms and actions.
I asked him for advice, but he just shrugged his shoulders.
He folded his arms and crossed his legs and waited for me to speak.
He sat there twitching nervously as he waited for his interview.
She bites her nails all the time. It drives me crazy.
She clenched her fist and told him to get out of the room at once.
He just kept tapping his fingers on the table, looking impatient. He just kept drumming his fingers on the table, looking impatient.
A. Adjectives to describe people's personality or behaviour.
Impetuous. Acts on a sudden idea without thinking first, often negative. For example, she's so impetuous. I wish she would consider things before acting. Impulsive. Similar to impetuous, but can be used in a more positive way. For example, his impulsive generosity led him to give money to anyone who asked for help. Effusive. Gives exaggerated expression of pleasure, praise, or gratitude. For example, she always gives me such an effusive welcome when I visit her. Excitable. Easily excited by things. For example, he's a very excitable child. He needs to calm down. Pushy. Always selfishly promoting your own position or interests. Informal. For example, she's so pushy. It's typical of her to demand a pay rise for herself and not care about the rest of us. Self-conscious. Nervous or uncomfortable because you know what people think about you or your actions. For example, Freddie seemed self-conscious and uncomfortable when he had to make the announcement at the party. Well-balanced. Calm and reasonable and showing good judgment. For example, the teacher said Maddie was a well-balanced child who got on well at school. Taciturn. Reserved or says very little, generally negative. For example, he was a bit taciturn when I first met him. He hardly said a word.
B. Sociability.
Chloe's such an introvert. Her brother Mark is so outgoing and is such an extrovert. Strange, isn't it?
Mr. Rogers is such a diffident man. He seems to have quite low self-esteem.
English people are traditionally thought of as rather reserved.
Eva tends to be rather aloof. I don't know if she's just shy.
My Aunt Annie can be very haughty and disdainful at times, but she's lovely, really.
I've always found Professor MacToft very unapproachable, but his colleague Dr. O'Daly is very approachable.
Natasha is very conceited and self-important, but Rachel is such a modest person.
Joe is always so polite and respectful. I wish he would be more informal and just treat me as his equal.
C. Character traits.
Ian is a somewhat naive person. He thinks love can solve all the world's problems.
Telephone salespeople often take advantage of gullible people.
My father was a very conscientious man. He never took time off work unless he was really sick.
She's a restless individual. I don't think she'll ever settle down in a job.
You are so obstinate and pig-headed. Why don't you listen when people give you advice?
A. Love and romance.
When Tom met Lily, it was love at first sight.
She fell head over heels in love with him.
Nick only has eyes for Sophie. He's not interested in other girls.
Lauren was more than infatuated with Dave. She was completely besotted with him.
I've often seen Matt and Ellie at the cinema together, but it's purely a platonic relationship.
B. Friendships and other positive relationships.
An owner and I hit it off immediately. We're true soulmates.
The moment I met Rob, I could see he was a man after my own heart.
Charlie and I get on like a house on fire.
Rob and Jamie have been bosom friends for years. Rob and Jamie have been bosom buddies for years. Rob and Jamie have been bosom pals for years.
Marta and Carmen are inseparable.
There's a close bond between Rushta and her aunt.
C. General social relationships. Collocations. The replies in these conversations are another way of saying what the first speaker says.
You seem to be very similar to Ben, the way you think and look at life.
Yes, we've always been kindred spirits.
What a nice wedding. Nathan and Amelia seem to be perfect for each other.
Yes, such a well-matched couple.
Our Spanish friends are always phoning their brothers and sisters.
Yes, well, I think family ties in Spain are much stronger than here.
I've never met Rosie, but I know several people she knows.
Yes, she said you have a number of mutual acquaintances. Gareth has a lot of respect for Claire.
Yes, he holds her in high regard.
Sarah and Anna are very close these days. I'm sure they share all their secrets.
Yes, they're as thick as thieves.
D. Nouns and adjectives.
Adoring. Adoration. For example, the parents gazed at their newborn baby with a look of tender adoration. Affectionate. Affection. For example, he never shows much affection for his children. Amiable, amiability. For example, she always treats us with great amiability. Considerate, consideration. For example, have some consideration for the other students, she said angrily. Faithful, faithfulness. For example, faithfulness is the key to a good marriage. Fond, fondness. For example, over the years she developed a fondness for Mario that went beyond a purely business relationship. Loyal, loyalty. For example, he was a great team captain who inspired loyalty in the players.
A. Friendship. Friends are people who are much more than mere casual acquaintances. True friends are always there when you need them, as you are for them. We expect loyalty from our friends, despite our faults, and should give it in return, never speaking ill of them behind their backs. As well as having friends and casual acquaintances, we have relationships with colleagues, allies, and partners. Here are some qualities of friendship and their opposites. Quality. Loyal, loyalty. Opposite. Disloyal, disloyalty. Quality. Supportive. Opposite. Unsupportive, critical. Quality. Honest, truthful. Opposite. Dishonest, untruthful. Quality. Respectful, respect. Opposite. Disrespectful, disrespect. B. Good and bad relationships. I used to think of Kate as a friend, but I now realise she has been two-faced towards me.
Russia and America were allies in the war.
We were business partners, but now we're bitter rivals. We were business partners, but now we're arch rivals. Indeed, I could say we are now sworn enemies. Fergus has been disloyal to me on a number of occasions.
Okay, I was dishonest with you. I'm sorry, but I didn't want to hurt you.
Sam has been very distant towards me recently.
Jamie has always been scrupulously honest in his dealings with us.
I would expect complete and unswerving loyalty from a true friend.
Monica has always been my staunchest ally at work. I can always rely on her to support me.
I was amazed that someone who called herself my friend could be so deeply critical of me. C. Breakdowns. Expressions and collocations.
Unfortunately, relationships sometimes break down because of genuine misunderstandings.
A rift can develop between two people or groups.
There's been a lot of discord in the office lately.
My father and I don't see eye to eye on most things.
Jack and his sister have been on bad terms for a long time.
His love affair with Anna has turned sour. I think they'll split up.
Our marriage has had its ups and downs, but basically, we're okay.
A bumpy relationship.
A broken home.
A family feud. A. Strong desires.
Pregnant women crave, or have a craving for, strange things like tuna and banana pizza.
Young children often seem to thirst, or have a thirst for, knowledge.
Sometimes my cousin just yearns to be on her own, with no family responsibilities.
An Olympic gold medal is probably the most coveted sporting prize.
B. reacting to other people's emotions.
Lottie tried to diffuse the tension by changing the subject.
Tim was very angry with his daughter, and it took her a long time to placate him.
An independent advisor has been brought in to conciliate between the unions and the employer.
Although appeasing the enemy postponed the war for another year, it did not ultimately prevent it from happening.
C. Being extremely happy.
Exultant. Feeling great pleasure and happiness, usually because of a success. More formal than ecstatic. Sarah was in an exultant mood after her great exam results. Sarah was ecstatic after her great exam results. To rejoice. Be extremely happy. Formal. Everyone rejoiced at the news of her recovery. Jubilant. Expressing great happiness, especially at a victory. Formal. There were jubilant shouts as the results of the referendum were announced. Bliss. Perfect happiness. Often collocates with utter and sheer. Adjective, blissful. The adverb blissfully often collocates with happy, ignorant, and unaware. We had a fabulous holiday on a beautiful island. 7 days of utter bliss. We had a fabulous holiday on a beautiful island. 7 days of sheer bliss. They are blissfully happy, even though they're poor.
There are a number of informal expressions which mean to be very happy. You look full of the joys of spring today. Why are you smiling all the time?
My daughter's just had a baby girl. We're thrilled to bits at the news.
I feel on top of the world. It's great to have a job again.
I've been floating on air ever since I heard I got into drama school. I've been walking on air ever since I heard I got into drama school. How did you feel when you scored the winning goal?
I was over the moon.
A. Antipathies and aversions.
Antipathy is a feeling of strong, often active dislike or opposition towards something or someone. For example, antipathy towards the government increased during the economic crisis. Aversion is a feeling of intense dislike or an unwillingness to do something. It can also refer to the person or thing which causes that feeling. It is often used in the phrase have or feel an aversion to. For example, I felt an instant aversion to the new manager. Arrogance has always been my pet aversion. Averse to means opposed to, usually used with not. For example, I'm not averse to a good night out.
B. Negative feelings.
Loathing, loathsome, loathe. Intense hatred. For example, I just loathe people who tell lies. Abhorrence, abhorrent, abhor. Intense disgust. For example, we all find her behaviour abhorrent. Scorn, scornful, scorn. Lack of respect for something. For example, there was a scornful note in his voice. Irritation, irritating, irritated, irritate. A feeling of being annoyed. For example, her comments gave me an intense feeling of irritation. Distress, distressing, distressed, distress. A feeling of being extremely upset or worried. For example, being told that my best friend was seriously ill was very distressing. Alarm, alarming, alarmed, alarm. A feeling of being very worried or frightened. For example, the advance of the enemy troops across the river was an alarming development.
C. Adjectives with negative connotations. She was very offhand with everyone.
The director's personal assistant can be very officious.
He makes very ostentatious displays of his wealth with big, flashy cars, designer clothes, and so on.
She's become very pompous since she was elected to Parliament.
She boasts about reading philosophy books. She's so pretentious.
What puerile behaviour! Grow up!
Because I rushed it, my essay was a bit sloppy.
Joe can be very fickle.
Oh, stop being so nitpicking.
The customs officer was such an obnoxious man.
D. Being extremely unhappy.
I felt utterly dejected when I didn't get the job.
She looked forlorn, gazing into the distance.
I was devastated when I heard of the death of a good friend of mine.
The missing child's parents were distraught. The neighbours tried to calm them.
You're looking a bit down today. Anything wrong?
He always looks so miserable and never seems to smile.
A. At the beginning.
Pregnancy is the 9-month period when a woman is expecting a baby. It begins with conception when the mother's egg is fertilized and an embryo implants in the mother's womb or uterus. Most mothers conceive naturally, but some are helped by fertility drugs or other procedures such as IVF. As the fetus grows, it is fed through the mother's placenta. After 40 weeks, the mother usually goes into labour. If this doesn't happen naturally, she may be induced. Usually a mother is helped to give birth by a midwife. Sometimes a surgeon is needed to deliver the baby by caesarean section.
B. At the end.
More and more people these days are living to a ripe old age. My aunt, for example, that's my late father's sister, is 93. She's been a pensioner for more years than she worked. She lives in sheltered accommodation, but she's not at all doddery or gaga. She's lucky still to have all her wits about her because a lot of elderly people develop dementia. Funerals are changing a lot too. I went to one recently where there was a coffin in the colours of the dead man's football team. And at the wake, his sister told me she'd put it in her will that her own ashes are to be sent up in a rocket. Funerals now are often more about celebrating a person's life rather than just about mourning. As for me, I think I'd prefer an ordinary cremation. But then I'd quite like to have my ashes scattered at sea, as I love sailing.
C. Death in different registers.
Expressions of sympathy. Please accept my condolences. Formal. I was so sorry to hear of your loss. I was so sorry to learn of your loss. Informal. Euphemisms for to die. To pass away, to pass on, to pass over. Very informal expressions for being close to death. To be at death's door, to be on your last legs. Newspaper words. Fatalities. Perished. Slaughtered. Legal words. The deceased. To bequeath. To inherit. To die intestate.
A. Adjectives describing free time activities. Rewarding. Gives you a lot of positive experiences. For example, doing voluntary work, helping charities. Fruitful. Produces good results. For example, collaborating or cooperating with someone in an activity. Lucrative. Makes a lot of money. For example, selling designer jewelry, writing apps for smartphones. Therapeutic. Makes you healthy in body and or mind. For example, gardening, yoga, jogging. Relaxing or calming. Reduces stress, gives a peaceful feeling. For example, reading, listening to music, meditation. Time-consuming. Takes a long time to do. For example, being president of a club, being a member of a committee. I enjoyed being secretary of the sports club, but it was very time-consuming. I had to give up 2 evenings a week to do it.
The conservation work I do is very rewarding. I feel I'm doing something good and useful.
Photography has been a lucrative pursuit for her. She often sells her pictures to magazines.
Painting is such a therapeutic activity. It makes me feel good and teaches me patience.
B. Informal expressions. How people spend their leisure.
Rob's a real culture vulture. He goes to the theatre regularly and to every art gallery he can find.
I'm a bit of a couch potato. I spend hours every day just watching TV.
Lucy loves playing tennis, but only as an amateur. She'd never want to be a professional.
Fatima's a bit of a dabbler. She takes up a hobby for a couple of weeks, then she gets bored and starts something different.
Matt does a lot of chores at the weekend. Things like shopping and mowing the lawn.
Laura's a shopaholic. She buys all sorts of things she doesn't need.
Joe is heavily into downhill skiing these days.
I went off football and I took up golf instead.
She locks herself away for hours in her room and listens to music.
He's totally hooked on motor racing these days.
What do you get up to at weekends, Mariana?
Do you have a hectic social life? I have a pretty full diary.
Mark is a keen participant in all the community activities in his town.
A. Dressing for work.
Many students, both male and female, would agree that they often look scruffy in their t-shirts and jeans. However, those who go into the world of business have to make a rapid transition and learn about dress codes in the workplace. Business attire needs to project a professional image, and clothing that reveals too much cleavage for women, or your back, your chest, or your midriff is not appropriate, even in a casual business setting. For women, see-through fabrics should be avoided, and skirts should not be too tight or too short, though nobody wants to look frumpy. For men, trousers should not be too tight or shirts too open. Women often need a good choice of outfits, and men find a good range of suits, ties, and casual trousers and jackets invaluable. Accessories, for example, jewellery, shoes and cufflinks, can also enhance the professional look. Some offices have dress-down days, often Fridays, when staff can wear more casual clothes. In other jobs, of course, people are required to wear uniforms or protective clothing, such as overalls and safety helmets.
B. Words and expressions about clothes.
Clothes can be described as revealing, skimpy, baggy, clingy, or chic. Sometimes an invitation to a more formal party will ask people to dress in smart casual clothes. To be dolled up, or dressed up, or done up to the nines means to be dressed in a very fashionable or very formal way. Some people choose to buy designer, label clothes, but most people prefer to buy clothes more cheaply on the high street. People who can afford to sometimes have clothes made to measure. but more often people buy their clothes off the peg or rack.
C. Being in fashion.
These jackets are all the rage.
The woman was dressed in the very latest fashion.
Dresses like this are the height of fashion.
The magazine has up-to-the-minute fashion articles.
The film has set a new trend for the silk top the star wore.
A trendsetter is a person whose style is followed by others.
High heels are on trend this year.
Large handbags are this year's must-have item.
If a fashion catches on, it becomes popular. If a trend catches on, it becomes popular.
A slave to fashion is someone who is strongly influenced by fashion.
Your new outfit really suits you.
D. Clothes in metaphors.
To speak off the cuff. To be hand in glove with someone. To do something on a shoestring. No frills. To put someone in a straitjacket. To draw a veil over something. To have something up your sleeve.
A. Home styles.
A squat is an empty building where people start living without the owner's permission. A hovel is a very small, dirty house or flat in a bad or run-down condition. Rented accommodation can be either furnished or unfurnished. A penthouse is a luxury flat at the top of a building. Council or social housing is rented accommodation provided by the state for people who have low incomes. A council estate is a large group of such housing. High-rise flats or tower blocks are flats in a tall, modern building with a lot of floors. A granny flat is a set of rooms for an elderly person connected to a relative's house.
B. Idioms and expressions relating to house and home.
Get on like a house on fire. Get on very well with someone. For example, happily, my mother-in-law and I have always got on like a house on fire. A household word or name, something or someone everyone knows. For example, Nike has become a household name. On the house, free of charge. For example, the restaurant owner offered us coffees on the house. Home truths. Information that is true but not pleasant or welcome. For example, it's time he was told some home truths about the way he's been behaving. Nothing to write home about. Nothing special. For example, the town is okay, but nothing to write home about. Hit home. Become fully understood or fully felt. For example, the difficulty of managing without a regular salary is hitting home now. Make yourself at home. Make yourself feel comfortable in someone else's home. For example, please just make yourself at home while I get dinner ready.
C. Idioms and metaphors relating to life.
Life in the fast lane. A way of life that is full of activity and excitement. For example, as a rock star, Joe lived life in the fast lane. Have the time of your life. Have a wonderful time. For example, Paula's having the time of her life in Canada. Get a new lease of life. Become more energetic and active than before. For example, when Georgie moved jobs, she seemed to get a new lease of life. A dog's life. A very unhappy and difficult life. For example, Ryan had a dog's life in the army. Lead a sheltered life. Have a life that is protected from unpleasantness. Also lead a busy, quiet, normal, etc. life. For example, Kyoko has led a very sheltered life and may find it hard to adapt to the big city. Not, be a matter of life and death. Not, be very serious. If we miss the last train, it's not a matter of life and death. Take your life in your hands. Do something very dangerous. For example, you're taking your life in your hands if you cross the road here. Go to the zebra crossing. Breathe new life into. Bring new ideas and energy to something. When Orla joined the staff, she breathed new life into the school.
A. Nouns for social events.
Hi, Rebecca. How's life? Things have been really hectic on the social front here. It seems to be nothing but parties. Frankie and Joe had their housewarming last week, now that they've decorated and got all their furniture in. A lot of our friends seem to be getting married lately. Josh went to his friend Mick's stag party last weekend. They went to Spain for it. And next week, my old schoolmate Angela's having her hen night. It's fancy dress, too. I think I'll go as Cleopatra. The wedding's at the end of the month. I think the wedding party will include a lot of our year from school. That'll be nice. They're having the reception at the Royal Hotel. Very posh. The following week, Josh has got his annual company ball. It's a black tie affair. Meanwhile, I've got the launch party for my new book coming up next month, and I have the usual girls' night out with Amy and Izzy every few weeks. Oh, and there's a leaving do at the office next week. We're going to be exhausted by the end of the year. Hope to hear from you soon. Jess. Kiss.
B. Networking.
Contemporary business. Advice on networking. We interviewed some successful business people about networking. Here are some of their comments.
Exchange business cards. Do lunch with useful people. Don't be afraid to hobnob with the boss. Go for it.
Make sure you rub shoulders with the people who really matter. Every moment counts in networking.
Socialising is meeting people purely for pleasure, but networking is making contacts that are going to be useful to your business or career. So don't just leave it to chance. Plan your networking.
Try to be proactive in the workplace.
C. Expressions for social activity.
I don't like the people Chris hangs out with. I don't like the people Chris knocks around with.
I hope I'm not outstaying my welcome.
Jamie's a real party animal.
I hate it at my new job. Everyone's so cliquey.
It was good at the club last night. Pete Esterhouse was there with his crowd.
Lizzie and Rob are always together. Are they an item?
Joel isn't very happy because Molly stood him up last night.
A. Useful adjectives for describing works and performances.
That TV series is overrated.
The plot was so hackneyed.
The play was disjointed and difficult to follow.
The film Green Aliens from Mars was a bit far-fetched.
The play was a bit risque, and some religious leaders criticised it.
It was a gripping film from start to finish.
It was a harrowing documentary about war and refugee camps.
It's a moving story about a child whose mother dies.
What a truly memorable performance. What a truly unforgettable performance.
The ballerina's performance was understated.
The play was long and tedious.
That new stand-up comedian is hilarious.
B. Success and failure.
The audience clearly loved the play. The applause was deafening, so it's not surprising that it got glowing reviews.
The audience called for several encores after his concert.
She got a standing ovation as Juliet in Romeo and Juliet.
Her latest album has already won 3 awards.
Sam Dell won the award for Best Up-and-Coming Actor.
The critics generally agree that her new symphony is a masterpiece.
She has become typecast as a middle-aged mother in TV drama series.
His latest opera was panned by the critics, which is strange, since all his previous works have been universally lauded. His latest opera was slated by the critics, which is strange, since all his previous works have been universally lauded.
The play bombed in London's West End, although it had been really successful in New York.
The show was booed on the first night.
The new TV soap has turned out to be a total flop.
Novak was definitely miscast as the father in that film. He was very unconvincing.
C. Nouns relating to performing.
Megan did well in the audition and is now busy going to rehearsals for the play.
I liked her interpretation of the song Yesterday.
I prefer the original version by the Beatles. None of the covers are as good in my opinion.
The actor's portrayal of the mother in the film was very tender.
A. Changing tastes.
Throughout the centuries, people have tended to be suspicious of the new art movements of their period. At the end of the 19th century, for example, people were shocked by Impressionism, criticising its practitioners as careless daubers. Later, when faced with Cubist paintings, the public were puzzled by those too. The Surrealists were initially deemed crazy. Op art was criticised because its subject matter was said to consist of nothing of significance. However, nowadays, liking Surrealism or op art is considered perfectly acceptable, and images from these schools of art appear everywhere, from posters to advertising campaigns. Perhaps because of the ubiquity of advertising, people tend to be more visually literate than they used to be, and so are perhaps inured to surprises. Perhaps new movements in art will meet with less hostility in future.
B. Words for commenting on art.
Original. New in a special and interesting way. Opposite. Predictable. Highbrow. Intended for educated, intelligent people. Often disapproving. Opposite. Lowbrow. Impenetrable. Extremely difficult to understand. Opposite. Transparent. Sophisticated. Showing advanced skills and understanding. Opposite. Primitive. Challenging. Demanding considerable effort to be understood. Opposite. Undemanding. Dazzling. Inspiring great admiration because it is brilliant in some way. Opposite. Pedestrian. Evocative. Calling up images and memories. Opposite. Uninspiring. Thought-provoking. Making people think. Opposite. Unstimulating. Exquisite. Having rare beauty or delicacy. Opposite. Clumsy. Intriguing. Interesting because it is strange or mysterious. Opposite. Dreary. Peerless. Better than any other. Opposite. Run-of-the-mill. Tongue-in-cheek. Not intended to be taken seriously, despite appearing serious. Opposite. Earnest. Priceless. Extremely valuable. Opposite. Worthless. Skillful. Clever. Masterly. Done well. Opposite. Poorly done.
C. Art and metaphor. Notice how words connected with art can be used when talking about literature.
The writer paints his hero in a fascinating light. Minor characters are more shadowy or sketchy, but they are also depicted quite powerfully, even though the focus is, inevitably, on the two central characters. These are portrayed with great sensitivity. The heroine is particularly colourful, and we see how her character is shaped and moulded by events. Some say the author illustrates his motifs in a black and white fashion, but the image he creates to illuminate the evils of slavery will remain with me forever.
A. Blurbs. A blurb is a short text, usually printed on the back cover of a book, describing what the book is about, and sometimes including quotes from critics. Here are some examples.
Woman of Snow is a poignant chronicle of childhood in a small American town. Nora DeLay is the youngest child in a family of...
The third novel by this acclaimed writer, this is a compelling tale of mystery, love, and betrayal in a lugubrious setting reminiscent of the...
A macabre and chilling account of an unsolved murder that tears a village apart.
A page-turner full of brilliant moments of insight and an unparalleled depth of feeling. This is a gripping and enigmatic tale that unfolds in
A breathtaking achievement, a journey of self-discovery that enchants and saddens, with a combination of wry humour and evocative scenes of life.
Jim Lawless, the eponymous protagonist of R. Crow's latest novel, is a confused young man seeking a meaning in life. It is an engaging tale.
B. Some other types of books.
A journal is a written record of what you have done each day. For example, a learning journal. It is also a publication containing academic articles, published at regular intervals. For example, every 3 months. Memoirs are a written record of a person's own life, typically by a politician or military figure. An encyclopedia is a book or set of books containing articles arranged in alphabetical order, dealing with the whole of human knowledge or part of it. An anthology is a collection of, for example, poems or short stories by different authors. A manual is usually a technical book with instructions, for example, a car manual. A logbook is a book that records events, times, and so on. For example, all the journeys made by a lorry or ship.
C. Other expressions for talking about books.
I'm reading a book about the history of Ireland. It's compulsive reading. It's one of those books you just can't put down. It's very informative.
Nancy Riley's novel about mental breakdown, published in 1950, was ahead of its time. Her 1955 book, Exciting Careers for Women, was a product of its time, though the ideas seem tame and old-fashioned, even gender-biased now.
Bertram's latest novel is not a difficult book. In fact, it's rather lightweight. It's good bedtime reading. His last one was heavy-going, and I just couldn't get into it. Nonetheless, his books always attract a wide readership.
A. Describing food products.
Food production has become increasingly industrialized and globalized, and so knowing what our food contains has become more and more important. Labels do not always help. Adjectives such as wholesome, farm fresh, and homemade can be rather vague and meaningless, while the international numbering system for additives is often incomprehensible to people. Some familiar descriptions, however, do have a clear official meaning. For example, whole foods, free-range eggs, gluten-free bread, or contains no artificial colours or preservatives. Clear and scientifically accurate descriptions can be vital for people who suffer from food allergies, and for vegetarians or vegans who want to know exactly what is in a product, as well as being important for consumers looking for natural or unprocessed foods, or those concerned about animal welfare who may wish to avoid food produced by battery farming methods, and so on. With the growth and popularity of convenience foods, alongside public health concerns over bad diet and obesity, simple and unambiguous nutrition labels are more important than ever. An example of a simple system is traffic light labelling, which indicates high, red, medium, amber, or low, green, levels of such things as fat, sugar, and salt. Finally, good labelling tells us where the food was produced and under what conditions, for example, fair trade products.
B. Food metaphors.
Inviting Sophie and her ex-husband to the same party was a recipe for disaster.
When asked why he didn't turn up to the exam, he cooked up a story about his kitchen being flooded.
The film has all the ingredients of a box office hit.
I'm not going to call him. I'm going to let him stew for another few days at least.
It's kind of you to invite me, but ballet isn't really my cup of tea.
The police grilled the suspect for hours, but eventually let him go.
I'm sure this is going to be another of his half-baked schemes that will never come to anything.
Let's hire a karaoke machine. That'll spice up the office party.
Rick has started hanging around with some unsavoury characters.
They started their business with high hopes, but things soon turned sour.
Let's go for a coffee and you can tell me all the juicy gossip.
A. Paying the bill. We'll split the bill, shall we?
Lunch is on me today.
Would you like to join us for dinner at the City Plaza Hotel?
We'd like you to be our guest.
Let me get this.
I was wined and dined every night by the New York office.
B. Describing service.
A new Italian restaurant called Bella Roma has just opened in the high street, and we went there the other night to try it. I couldn't help comparing it to the Casa Italia where we ate last week. In the Bella Roma, the service was impeccable and quick. At the Casa Italia, it's always a bit sluggish. In the new place, the waiters are courteous and friendly without being overbearing. In the other place, they tend to be sullen, and the service is rather brusque, which I find very off-putting. But at Bella Roma, they'll go out of their way to give you what you want.
C. Food preferences. I have a sweet tooth and can never say no to cakes or biscuits.
I won't have dessert, thanks. You're lucky being so slim, but I'm afraid I have to count the calories these days. You're lucky being so slim, but I'm afraid I have to be a bit calorie conscious these days.
I'll just have a small portion of dessert, please.
I like to end the meal with something savoury, like cheese.
Ben's a bit of a fussy eater.
No thanks, I won't have wine. I'm teetotal.
Before I book the restaurant, do you have any particular dietary requirements?
I won't have any more wine, thanks. I don't want to overdo it.
D. Entertaining at home.
Why not come home and eat with us? You'll have to take potluck, though.
Thank you. Shall I bring a bottle?
Should I wear a suit on Friday?
No, it isn't a dinner party. It's just an informal get-together.
Does anyone want seconds?
Ooh, yes, please. It was delicious.
Can I pour you some juice? Say when.
When?
Help yourself to some nibbles. We have to leave at 6. We can grab a bite to eat on the way.
Or we could get a takeaway when we get there.
A. Driving and traffic regulations.
In the UK, you must give way at a give way sign and at a roundabout, where traffic coming from the right has the right of way. You must give way to pedestrians at a pedestrian crossing. In some countries, sounding or beeping your horn is prohibited, except in emergencies. In most countries, jumping a red light is a serious offence, as is reckless driving. In many parts of the world, drink driving or drug driving can result in a heavy fine or imprisonment. Drivers may be asked by a police officer to take a breathalyzer test. Hit-and-run accidents are almost always considered to be grave offences and may result in a ban for several years and/or imprisonment. In the UK, less serious breaches of traffic regulations may lead to penalty points on the driver's licence. In many countries, on-the-spot fines may be issued for careless driving and other offences. In the European Union, exhaust emissions must meet certain standards, and the car must be roadworthy, which includes a minimum depth of tyre tread. Driving with a bald tyre is against the law.
B. Traffic problems.
It was the rush hour and there was a long tailback.
There's always congestion in the city centre.
You have to pay a toll on the new motorway.
There was a pile-up involving 10 cars because of the fog, so the road was closed and we were diverted onto a narrow country lane.
Overnight snow caused disruption this morning on many roads, but it is cleared now.
I had stupidly parked in a tow-away zone and came back to find my car had gone.
I only parked for a few minutes outside the station, but when I came out, my car had been clamped.
I saw 2 men fighting next to their cars. I think it was a case of road rage.
The road was wet and I skidded on a bend and almost crashed.
There was a head-on collision on the main road between here and the next village last night.
There was an accident at the junction between the A476 and the A53 this morning involving a lorry carrying a load of glue. Traffic has been stuck there for the last 3 hours.